Welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Fly On. I am your Fly On, Ebony Ivory, and I have a special guest in the building. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Not so special anymore. I'm almost a regular now. But I am Solomon E. Stretch, and you can follow me on IG as Solomon E. Stretch.
All right, so we have Mr. E. Stretch in the building. And today is going to be another uncomfortable episode. We are going to talk about We're going to talk about low self-esteem. Yes, low self-esteem. And this can be male, female, whomever. Okay, so this could be for you. And if you know someone that maybe struggles with low self-esteem, I think you're going to get something that you quite did not expect. That's all I'm going to say. You got to check out our last episode that we did. We discussed grief, and it didn't go the way that I thought it would go, and I'm kind of happy about it. No, it's defined. I am happy about it.
Look at you deciding.
Yeah. See, I pay attention. I take good notes. What can I say? So let's get into it. Let's start off with this. What is your definition of low self-esteem?
Ooh. So, let me just preface this. I'm a spiritual person, right? And so for me, low self-esteem is an act of blasphemy. And with me being a spiritual being, me being a believer, I believe that there is a source of all creation, and that source of all creation has made each and every one of us as a perfect idea in the divine mind. And for me to think otherwise about myself or anybody else,
Okay.
is an act of blasphemy.
An act of blasphemy. Okay, so let me just get comfortable right now. Let's get so to think of yourself as having low self-esteem is an act of blasphemy.
Sure.
Break that down for me, Solid. But break it down for us who have not come in contact with this type of perspective.
Well, and this is for me, this is something that I've been this is something that I've been thinking about for some time, because I have talked about having been 300 pounds and being, I've been everywhere from 160 to 300 pounds.
Wow.
Like, I've seen the spectrum. I've seen pant sizes that were like a size 48 and extra large and double XL. And even at smaller sizes, I questioned my worth and my value based off of how I perceived other people will look at me, and how I perceived other people will judge my value and my worth. And that isn't my job.
Hard stop, period. Okay.
Yeah. We live in a society where we do judge people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It wasn't until, and I say recent, but it's probably been a few years, where plus size models were valued and recognized.
Yeah.
And in order for you to have some sort of value, you had to make a certain amount of money. You had to have a certain kind of job, and this, that, and the other. And it's all very external.
It is.
It's all very external. But my worth isn't tied into what I have. My value isn't tied into what I can do. My value and my worth is inherent. Like, it's mine.
Right.
And I do not get to allow people to take that from me.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and so the general definition of self-esteem is that worth or that value and that respect that people have for themselves. Um, and so when we get into conversations about that low self-esteem, that low value, that low worth, where does that come from? And I think that's a really important question. Like, where does that come from?
Negative thinking.
It comes from negative thinking, but in order for that negative thinking to, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but in order for that negative thinking to take hold,
Right.
You bought into it.
Well, that's a fact. That's a hard but true fact. You bought into it.
You bought
That's
into it.
absolutely right.
Society is a very broad word. And, society could be your parents. Society could be your neighborhood, your community, the world at large. And sometimes the world at large tells you that because of the color of your skin, because of your weight, because of your gender, because of who you love, that you are less than.
Yes.
And I have had to do some work to dispute all of that. Anything that was negative, I had to dispute it. I've had to do the work, and thank God for therapy.
Right.
Thank God for people who choose to love me. My yoga guru, he says that all the time. If it wasn't for the grace of God and the people who choose to love me.
Yes. I love that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And because, like you said, you've been through the range. Tell us what did you do, so that you didn't buy in. You didn't allow.
I did. There was a time where I bought into it, and it didn't feel good. And one day you just decide, I want to feel good. I want to feel better about myself. And so in feeling better about myself, I created habits. I created routines. I created a life that I can be proud of. I created things, or I put things in place that allowed me to say, I did that.
Okay, can you share with us some examples of the things that you did?
I'm not doing it right now. However, at one point I was going to the gym every morning at like 5 a.m.
Okay.
I'm typically in the gym around 7:30 nowadays, but that 5 a.m. just hits different. And when you're in there for 30 minutes to 2 hours and you're lifting weights and you're on the treadmill and you're doing all these things, and then you walk out and you're drenched in sweat, and you just look back and you're like, I did that. When you see the patterns of your behavior, especially like drinking water, and I probably talk a lot about drinking water, but we take for granted how important that is. But drinking water and going to the gym and then choosing better meals. Like, I eat food now. I have a vegetarian diet, but I choose to eat food that make me feel alive. And
I know that feeling. I understand that.
God, like,
I understand that.
You could eat sometimes you get tired of eating rabbit food.
Right.
But then sometimes you just eat a salad and it's just so fresh, or you get a green smoothie and then you drink it and just like, damn.
I'm that way. Like, when my body feels like completely like groggy and sluggish, one of the things that I run to go do is carrot juice. I go down to the farmer's market. I buy me like the 25 pounder bags of carrots, and I'll juice the carrots. And it's something about when that live juice hits your body and you start to digest it and it gets to all the organs that it needs to get to. It's like a power up. It's like, oh, I feel that. So that totally resonated with me.
Look, I just saw that you got a juicer. I don't know if it was new, but I was like, damn. Hers looks better than mine. I think I might, and it looked easy.
It was, and it is. And let me tell you, the best juice that I have made is the one that I did post, and it was the watermelon mint. And the mint,
It did it.
it like, it set it off. The girlies that we have like a little walking group in my community. So like every day we do like a 2 mile walk.
Ooh, okay.
And I want to special thanks to my girlies that stick with me when I'm complaining about it. And it's like you said, you feel so good because you look back and you're like, I did that. Because at first ain't no way.
And you know the thing is, it's the beginning isn't always easy.
It's not.
The beginning is starting a behavior that doesn't show the progress or the results until days, weeks, months later.
Yeah.
And it is sticking with it until you see the results. Or it's sticking with it and feeling good in the process. Because sometimes you just don't see the results and you still feel
right,
good.
Right. So what do you think that's about? Because it's like, I know that doing this is good for me, right? Because, you know, for me, instance, like walking or working out, you know, heart healthy, helps reduces a lot of different other ailments that could be coming down the line. And just because I may not see the results physically, the motivation may not be there to keep me going. So do you have some advice maybe on like how to kind of motivate yourself when you're feeling like in that space, like, oh, I'm not seeing what I feel like I need to see to keep going?
I am very thankful for the gym community, the fitness community, because the fitness community often talks about how motivation won't get you there. It's the dedication. And once you do the work and you get in the habit of doing the work, like I fell out of the habit of going at 5 a.m.
Right.
And I'm noticing that the 7 a.m. workouts don't feel the same.
Really? Okay.
I also noticed that my day doesn't feel the same. When you start your day at 5 a.m., you have more hours in your day. And it's different. And so when you get dedicated to a process, no matter the outcome, that dedication takes you further than the motivation will.
I love how you put that. I love that. The dedication. You're absolutely right.
Life is going to life. Life
That's
will
a
happen.
fact. That's a fact.
And there will be days when you just don't have it in you to be motivated to go to the gym.
Right.
I don't want to be in the gym at 7 a.m. And so I'll skip. But then I get to the end of my day and I'm just like, where do you need to be right now?
Right.
And then because of that dedication piece, it's like, this is something that I've set time for every single day. And so now I need to make that time back up. I need to give that time back to myself.
Right.
Because, going back to my earlier comment, when we fall out of our rituals and our habits, we start to betray ourselves.
What does that mean?
Well, what do you want for your life? And so, we set goals.
Right.
And a lot of times we focus on the goal,
right,
but we don't focus on the objectives, those little steps in between that get us to our goals. And so the goal is just the destination. It's we're sitting here in Georgia, but maybe we want to go to Vegas. Right? When we get in that car or on that plane, well, we'll just use the plane, right?
Right.
Because we want to go first class.
Period.
When we go first class to Vegas, we're not going to be sitting in first class complaining about, oh, I'm not in Vegas.
Right. Because we're on our way there.
We're on our way there, and we're in first class.
I like how you did that.
But this is the thing: while we're in first class, we're not going to be doing coach behavior.
Uh-oh. I caught that one. Okay.
Yeah. We're not going to be doing the things that are less expensive. We're not going to be doing the things that don't make us feel. We're not going to be doing the things that are not assigned to us.
Right. Or not in alignment with the goal.
Exactly.
You're
And
right.
so, I had to do an edit because that could have went way different, right? But when you are in first class, your seat is assigned to you.
Right.
This is your spot
Right.
on your way to this destination.
Right.
Why would I leave this spot to do other shit? To be in
That's not gonna put me closer to the destination either, right?
it could take
Right.
you to that destination, but will you have the same feeling along the way? Because now I'm over here, I'm cramped between two people, or I'm sitting in an aisle that's not as comfortable. I'm surrounded by more people
Right.
when I could just be comfortable here.
If you
But
just stick to the plan.
this is what I set up for myself. Or why would I spend the money for this expensive seat and then go sit in a less expensive seat?
So I kind of correlate that to, when when you're in a place and you do have low self-esteem, and you're trying to build yourself back up, you can't participate in those same things that put you on that path to having low self-esteem. It's like how I take it.
Um, Maybe. I don't know. For me, it's more of, well, who am I?
Okay.
Who am I? Who have I decided that I am?
Okay.
Who have I decided that I want to be? And so, in deciding and creating, if you want to be a CEO,
Right.
right, you have to maybe study. Maybe you have to network. Maybe you have to start in a mail room and then work your way up.
Right.
There are so many avenues to get to CEO, but if I am engaging in behaviors that don't allow me to progress to that space,
Right.
then what am I doing? It gives me the opportunity to buy into all of the things that everybody else is saying.
Right.
And so if I'm engaged in behaviors that feel good to me,
Right.
I see the progress. I see the destination. I am working and doing the steps to get there. If someone says anything contrary to what I'm feeling, it's easier for me to dispute it. You don't see my greatness because
Right.
you're not in my shoes. You don't get to feel what I feel every single day.
Right.
So I don't have to put stock into what you're saying. And then one day I may look and see that I have surpassed you. So I will no longer be able to hear what you have to say.
Right. Okay. So I receive all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about the younger kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
The teenagers, the ones that are heavily influenced in social media, and the insecurities maybe of, maybe they're not able to dress a certain way or present themselves a certain way. What do you say? What do you say to those kids?
Turn it off. It's just that easy. Like, and maybe it's just that easy. I don't know. But I will say this: podcasting is a different space. Media is a very different space.
Yes.
Um, I wasn't on social media as much as I was when I wasn't podcasting.
It is so true.
And to be honest, I think I was happier. I didn't watch the news. Like, I refused to watch the news.
Depressing.
I would mildly stay informed on the things that were important to me.
Right.
Um, but
But doing what you do, you have to encompass it all. You got to take it all
you
in.
have to take it all in and have conversations about it. And, sometimes I'm just a little honest and I'll say, I don't care. I don't care. And people laugh at me all the time. But that I don't care isn't that I don't care. It's that I don't care enough about it to let it take me from the peace that I found. And so sometimes you just have to turn it off.
I agree with you 1000%. Like I say, I am big on energy and feeling people's energy. That's just how I've always been. Like I can tell somebody's mood before I even speak a word or they speak a word to me. I can just feel it. And that is something that's very accurate in doing a podcast now when I gotta, post reels and stuff like this. I'm literally have to say to myself, are you the content or are you consuming content? Which one are you going to be today before you log in? That's how calculated it has to be, because if you see something you like, the scrolling, the reading the comments, the rabbit hole, oh, look, even for me, I've lost 70 pounds. So it totally resonates with me when I look back on photos and I look at the older pictures and I looked at maybe how I valued myself or my esteem. Now, I think there's a difference between, I think maybe, you can correct me too, like there's a little bit of a difference between low self esteem than or the value you may carry within yourself, right? So I totally understand what you're saying about not buying into what people may perceive me to be. So when I was struggle with certain things, I would do what you would say. I would recommend it for sure. I wouldn't buy in. I'd be like, this is not who you are. There are plenty of people out here that maybe look the same way as you, feel the same way as you. You don't have to, I don't have to be whatever label or whatever they're projecting onto me. That's their problem. I'm just simply Ebony. Like, I'm who I decide that I need to be and who I want to be for me, because at the end of the day, I'm going to, when I hit the pillow at night, it's just me. Mm-hmm. It's not me and the followers. It's not me and the commenters. It's just me. And it's so true. You do have to know when to turn it off, but sometimes it can be hard.
It can. And, I saw this not too long ago. It says self-esteem is setting boundaries and self-love is maintaining them. And so it is, look, this is going to go live.
Right.
Right. And someone's going to look at it and say, oh, well, that's easy for him to say. He's sitting there wearing a label and he's wearing gold and, they have the ability to podcast and, do production and that yada, yada, yada. But none of this is important.
Right.
Right. It's just something to wear.
Right.
And, I am, and if you watch Open Relationship Podcast, I got to do a plug real quick. You will see me in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yep.
And a baseball cap.
Yep.
And that is just how I prefer to navigate life.
Right.
I like the simple things. I like the expensive things. I think peace is a luxury.
Let's talk about peace.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about peace. You said peace is a luxury. Why?
Because in today's day and age, it's not always afforded. You turn on the news, and right now we're in a political year.
Yes.
And there's a lot of commentary about race, and there's a lot of commentary about violence, and there's a lot of commentary about finances, and there's a lot of commentary about anything and everything. And thinking about those days when I had all of it turned off, mm-hmm. I didn't worry. And so now we're having conversations about finances and who can do the best job for
the country
and certain tax brackets and da 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 da. And you start paying attention to these conversations, and then you start paying attention to your finances, and then you're like, well, am I struggling?
Right.
I might actually be struggling a little bit.
Yes.
When before you were actually okay.
Right.
You were going day by day, not living paycheck to paycheck, and then now you're looking at your money like,
You
wait a
try to
minute.
make sure, yeah.
Now-
Am I the affected class that they're talking
let me
about?
start sending some money over to savings real quick because things could be different.
It's so true.
And like, you create these worries for yourself because your focus is different. You know, we just had a conversation about focus on your last show.
Yeah.
And when you are focused on the things that are important to you,
Yeah.
then you have an ability to maintain those boundaries.
Right.
You get to say, and I like that you get to. You're not forced into spaces. You don't feel trapped, but you get to decide, this is what I want.
Right.
This is what I am willing to do to get there.
Right.
And there's just so much power in deciding. And when you decide, then there's a lot of peace in that. You know, I've lived by this for 6 years now. I saw this on Instagram. When you tune into the things that are important to you, especially on social media, you will find little gems, right?
Absolutely.
So it said, when you are organized, then you can be prepared. When you are prepared, then you can be present.
That's true. That's so true. It's
Think
so
about
simple,
it.
but it's true.
So simple, and it's so true.
Yes.
Like, you organize a space. Think about this. Back in my not so something days. Think about when you used to have somebody come over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had to run through your house like a tornado to
And clean up. Yes.
And then by the time they get there, you're exhausted, right?
Yes.
And now you have to entertain them and you're exhausted.
Yes.
And then you're also probably thinking about like the stuff that's tucked away in a closet that you hope they don't open up that damn door.
Yes.
And then, so you're not really present in the moment. But when you have your stuff where it needs to be, you can invite opportunity in.
I love the way you put that. Because, like, now for me, it's like my house is always presentable. So, and it's funny because I don't have to refer back to, like, if somebody says they're coming over, I'm not running around zooming to clean up and whatever, because now my house is, like, in that position. It's like, I don't have to get ready because I'm ready.
And it's funny because for me, the focus is different. Now I don't even just have people. I don't have people at my house. But I'm thinking about two different versions of me.
Okay.
So when I come home from work, I know where my stuff is.
Right.
And so I don't have to frantically look for things.
Right.
I can just sit down, and then when I need something, I can get it.
Right.
And then when I leave for work in the morning, like, my keys are right where they need to be, my bag is right where it needs to be, like, the clothes that I intend to wear for the day are where they need to be. I could just get them and I can walk out the door. So it creates less stress, less hassle, and it also allows me to just feel good about myself. Like, when I go home and my bed is made, like, it just feels good. Like, the morning version of me thought enough of the evening version of me. Like, I thought enough about you to make the bed.
Right, because it's the anticipation of all, like, you may have a stressful day, and it's just like, even too, when you go on vacation, like, I make sure that we clean, because it's nothing like coming back from vacation and coming into a clean place, a clean palette with fresh new memories, and I don't have to do anything. I can relax.
And we get into this habit of thanking people for doing things for us.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get in that bed that is cool and crisp, and then you shuffle your feet,
Yes.
and then you say, thank you.
Right.
Like, you have an opportunity at the end of your day to thank yourself
Right.
for thinking ahead.
Right. And in creating a continual thing of peace for yourself.
Yeah.
That's really, it's so, like, now that we're having this conversation, it just seems like so simple. Like, we, like, overcomplicate life.
But also notice that the conversation changed because we're not talking about low self-esteem.
Right.
We're just talking about the things that make us feel good.
Right.
And this is a perfect conversation to piggyback off of the conversation that we just had about grief,
Right.
which turned into a conversation about love.
Right.
Right? So it's all about your focus. And so when you focus on the things that are important, I don't focus on grief.
Right.
I don't
Sure.
focus on low self-esteem. I focus on my best self. I focus on, and in me being my best self, I'm a person who loves.
Oh, I love it. 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 I love it.
Now I will still cuss your ass out. People forget. People forget that, you know, we all have different versions of ourselves.
That's for sure.
And so part of self-esteem is realizing that there are so many different versions of other people that you don't want to come into contact with the version
Yeah.
that is harmful to you.
That
You know, there's, you know, even in that conversation of self-esteem, there's high self-esteem where you may feel superior to other people.
Right.
There's that low self-esteem where you're inferior to other people. And then there's that middle ground.
Right.
Where you have this healthy balance.
Right.
Like, I'm neither superior to anybody. I'm not inferior to anybody.
Right.
I am occupying this space with everybody. And we are all just doing our best.
That's a fact. And not only that, I think me personally, when it comes to my peace, I enjoy the feeling of being at peace, and it just makes me want to bring peace to other people, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense because that goes back into when I have this feeling of peace, how did I get here? And I got here because I decided. I made choices for my life that allowed me to experience this. And so,
Yes,
you know,
that's so true.
we have these, I have conversations with people all the time and they talk about, oh, well, I can't believe he did this and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, but you chose him.
Right.
You chose her.
Right.
You are choosing her. You are choosing him. So you're making choices that work against what you want.
Right.
So it's not about what they're doing.
Right.
Because they're engaged in behaviors for their life.
Right.
And you're choosing to participate
In the foolishness that it may be.
That's
right. That's right. That's so true. Because again, it comes back to being decisive.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes back to, are you buying in?
Yeah. Are you buying in? Are you buying into the things that people tell you? You know, India Ari said, you know the truth by the way it feels. Remember that song? I think it's Truth. I think that's the song, you know, because he is the truth. It feels so real. And I love the way he makes me feel. Da, 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 da. Anyway, but you know the truth by the way it feels. And the thing is, when you have decided who you are and what you want your life to be,
Right.
everything that goes against that,
You feel it.
you feel it.
You feel
it
it.
becomes a lie.
And then that's when a lot of people begin to try to convince themselves, go against this. That's a whole nother episode.
Is it?
I mean, I feel like we've all encountered people that, or even experienced it within ourselves, knowing that what this person that you're choosing to partake in, whatever level of foolishness can be, goes against what this innate internal clock is telling you, that this is not in alignment. Your motives don't align. Don't do it. And people completely go against themselves. And I think that's the part people are not trusting themselves.
I like someone who checks in on me. I like someone who texts me throughout the day. I like having phone calls. It feels good when someone takes time out of their schedule to spend time with me.
Yes.
It feels good when I can sit across from the table and eat a meal with someone and share in conversation. It feels good when someone says it's good to hear your voice. It feels good when someone sits next to you on a road trip, and it feels good when you wake up in the morning and the first thought of your day after your meditation is some other person.
Yeah.
Right? All of those things feel good. And there was a time where someone would cancel on me, and I would follow up. And there was a time where someone would go ghost on me, and I would wonder where they were.
Right.
And there was a time where someone made excuses, and I accepted them.
Right.
And then there was a night where I went to sleep, and my higher self, this person or this being inside of me that knew better,
Right.
said to me, this is what not loving yourself looks like.
That kind of goes back to, like, you can kind of tell where you are at the stage of your life by, like, your ex, like the reflection of
You
that.
can tell your mental health by your history of exes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's so true. That is so true. And it to tie it in, even though there are mitigating outside factors, right, that contribute, ultimately your self-esteem and your peace, it's going to always start and end with you.
And another way to say that is you are your responsibility.
Well said.
You have to take ownership of your life. And once you take ownership of your life and not live haphazardly,
Yeah.
then setting your goals and setting your objectives and creating those boundaries, these are the things that I like and these are the things that I don't like, and I will not participate in the things that I do not like.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
it's saying no. It's saying yes to all the yeses.
Right.
But when you encounter those no's, you don't turn them into maybes. You don't play around in the gray area.
I like that. You don't play around in the gray areas, and you don't turn your no's into maybes.
Let a no be a no.
And let your yeses be your yeses.
And let your yeses be your yeses.
I think we're going to close out the episode on that one. Let your yeses be your yeses, your no's be your no's, and don't allow your no's to be maybes. I want to thank Solomon E. Stretch for joining me today. I want to thank you for spending time with me. I want to thank you for being you. I want to thank you for being genuine and really having an enlightening conversation for me. I'm glad that we were able to connect on this platform in our media space and really have an honest and genuine conversation that I feel like people will definitely get quality, a quality perspective. Because when we do what we do in either of our spaces, we're not just talking crazy and whatever. We're really purposeful in what it is, the message that we're putting out here. And I just appreciate you coming to sit on this couch and have this dialogue with me. And I hope that this really helps people and people really take a look at themselves. Your esteem, your peace, your grief, it starts and it ends with you. I am your host, Ebony Ivory. You can find me on all podcasting platforms, Conversations with the Fly Aunt. You can find my social media, The Fly Aunt, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And Solomon, tell the people where they can find you.
You can follow me on Instagram at Solomon E. Stretch. You can also follow me on Open Relationship Podcast. You can only find me, like solo me, on Instagram. Open Relationship Podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and all streaming platforms.
All right. Don't forget to put in the comment section, tell us some things that you've done to maybe overcome any kind of low self-esteem, any type of self-esteem, and also what it is that you do to maintain your peace. I want to thank you all for spending time with me. You could have spent time with anyone else. And until the next episode, bye-bye.